Now, since the murder of her daughter Brianna by two other teenagers, Esther Ghey has embarked on a campaign to improve mental well-being for school children right across the country.
One of the focuses of her campaigning is mindfulness. And she recently visited a school in Liverpool to see how it's been helping pupils there. Our reporter Fee Lambden has the story.
It's Thursday morning.
It's 9 a.m. and the first lesson at this primary school in Liverpool is mindfulness.
Listening for that music.
And today, Esther Ghey, the mother of the murdered teenager Brianna, is here to watch.
Have we all got a space?
Her daughter was lured and then killed in a park by two 15-year-olds in February last year. She thinks mindfulness in schools will build resilience.
I actually do guided meditation.
Esther herself has practiced mindfulness for the last 8 years.
Mindfulness teaches you to be more in the present moment and to be more aware of your surroundings. In February last year, when it happened, me and my other daughter would go for walks, and we would see like the beauty that was around us. We would see like the beautiful trees or the flowers or the blossoms or like how lovely the sky was. And I think that during a difficult time, it's really important to be able to see those things, because it shows you that even though you're struggling, that there is still beauty in the world.
Nice and still on the floor.
Esther believes it should now be introduced in all primaries in England.
We did blow a balloon up.
This school has been teaching it for the last 5 years.
Mindfulness is just about experiencing the world for what it is right now. Being alive and knowing it. Savouring the good stuff, the fun stuff, and also noticing the not so good stuff when it shows up for us.
Shake those legs! Shaking those legs!
I like the tapping because it makes me feel sleepy. I like the singing bowl because it makes me calm.
When do you use this?
I use it outside, and then sometimes when I'm going a little bit too crazy.
What does it do when you're going a little bit crazy?
It makes me feel more calmer.
So have you seen behaviour improve?
Absolutely. What we're finding is that our children are more responsive rather than reactive. The children are taking time to think about their actions, to think about their decisions, and to really take that time to be present in the moment, and then will respond rather than react straight away with what might have been a gut instinct.
And even though Brianna didn't seem interested in it, her mum thinks it would have helped her.
If she had experienced mindfulness at a young age, and it was embedded into her life as well, then maybe she wouldn't have suffered the way that she did when she was a teenager.
Listening.
And while she knows it's too late for her daughter, Esther wants all children across the country to be taught this when they start school. Fiona Lambden, BBC News.
We are joined here on the sofa now by someone with a specialist shared interest in children's wellbeing. That's Dame Rachel de Souza, the Children's Commissioner for England. She has released a report just this morning calling on all political parties to simply listen more to young people. Morning.
Good morning. It's so exciting to be here.
Good. We're so glad to have you here. A fascinating report there with the incredible Esther Ghey, who's doing such important work in schools with young people, trying to start a conversation about talking to children and, more importantly, maybe listening to them more.
Absolutely. And, you know, my heart goes out to Esther for everything she's experienced. I'm so proud of what she's doing. But that point about listening to children is so important. For the last year, because it's an election year, I've been going around the country talking to children everywhere. I've been to Manchester, to Liverpool, to Scunthorpe, to Grimsby, to Carlisle, to youth clubs, to schools, to mental health wards, to youth prisons. Every child in youth prison is filled in my survey. And you know, what I've been saying to them is, what do you want the next government to do for children? How can they make your life better? And they've come back, and one of the really shocking findings is that only 1 in 5 think the government and the people in power are even listening to them. The kids really want to be listened to. They think they've got solutions. They're not cynical. So they saw during lockdown politicians close their schools in a day. They saw the vaccines rolled out, and they want their voices heard. And we just think what they've been through. They've had lockdown, there's war in Europe. They're all talking to me about cost of living. They're worried about their parents being able to afford food. They're interested in their health. Can we see a doctor? So they've come up with hundreds of ideas, 33 big ambitions. We've tested them on all the leaders in public services, and now we want every political party to listen and to have a children's manifesto and to talk to children. We want to see it in everyone's manifesto.
You say as well that those children aren't cynical. The overwhelming feeling of the report is one of positivity, isn't it? They are positive about affecting change.
So ambitious about their own future, and they want to be part of the solution. Children make up 20% of the population, and they're like, look, 1.8 million children are still out of school, absent for a tenth of their time. 1 million children last year were referred for serious mental health support at CAMHS. There's something about childhood that's not working, and we need to be listening to them to help us find the solution. Actually, Esther Ghey's thing about finding a place at school where you can be yourself, be safe, be calm, be listened to is really important. Children are saying that too.
Isn't the problem, though, that so much of politics, particularly maybe right now, is short-termism? It's about fixing the problem that's right there. It's not about taking that long-term view. And whilst most politicians will appreciate that these are the voters of tomorrow, they're not the voters of now, are they? That's
exactly what. So I was in a sixth form last week, and the young people, really smart. They were like, it's actually, they don't listen to us because we don't have the vote. But it's so short-sighted because we're going to have it in 2 years' time. But, just because you don't have the vote, you should still have a voice. And we all have children in our lives. And as the adults, we need to be looking at what they're saying about children too, what the different political parties are saying about children too, and making sure they prioritise them. Do you know that waiting lists are longer for children in the health service than for adults? Shocking, and yet childhood's so short. They've given us some really clear, practical, helpful tips, some of which cost nothing. We've got 33 big ambitions, and we just need every single political party to listen. We're down in Westminster this afternoon, launching to politicians, to judges, to the Lords, to leaders in the public sector. It's time to listen to the children.
One of the things I know Esther Ghey is very, very keen on is making social media a safer place for children and young people. What are they telling you about that? How frightening is that whole world?
Do you know, it's interesting because I surveyed children in 21. I've done it again now. They feel less safe online. Every single child I talk to say they get their phone around 10, 11, 12, often for good reason, because you might need to track a bus or do whatever. That's when they first see serious violence. They see it online through their phones. That's when they see sort of serious pornography. I took my young ambassadors to talk to the tech companies. I pulled them all in. And do you know what the kids said to them? They said, this is our childhood, not your livelihoods. And they challenged, X, are you X or triple X? If you can't get this stuff down, if you can't get underage children off, you shouldn't be allowed to have social media apps. They really gave a lot of challenge. I'm on the online safety bill, on the face of it, as a statutory consultee for the Children's Code. It's been written now. Everything the children have told me is going to inform what we do. They want digital access. They want, their world is bigger for, being able to go online, but they need to be safe and they shouldn't have to be exposed to these things. And frankly, young children should be out playing and not on their phones, frankly.
And in the way those children say they are not listened to by the politicians, do they feel listened to by big tech?
Well, I'm making big tech listen and calling them in and using my powers to, but absolutely not. I mean, it was so interesting to see big tech try to deny some of the things that the children were saying. Then they realised children knew more about it than they did, and they came and apologised. Big tech doesn't listen enough. The online safety bill, for the first time, draws a line in the sand. I think the parents in this country have said enough, and we're going to hold big tech to account. But I want to see big tech investing in parental education about the online world, making their apps safe, or they shouldn't have children there, and listening to children's voices. I made sure their voices were heard all the way through the online safety bill, and we need to keep doing that.
Now, this report comes, doesn't it, just as at the moment that the British Youth Council closes because of financial difficulties. That was a really important forum for children to be heard. What can happen to replace that? What needs to happen?
We need to keep that youth parliament going. It's so important for the future of democracy. The 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds who are in there are the politicians of the future and the voters of the future. So, I mean, we've already reached out to DCMS to ask what's happening, and I will do everything in my power to keep that youth parliament going. Children have told me 366,000 children this time, 500,000 in my last survey. I've spoken to over 1 million children. They told me they want a voice. And this country will be better if it just involves children in solving the problems.
Really nice to see you. Thank you. Busy day ahead for you.
Oh, really?
We'll let you go. But Dame Rachel de Souza, thank you.
Thanks
for coming
so
in. Nice to see you.
Thank you.